Hey, welcome back to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, and trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so you can easily choose the best watch for yourself in the comfort of your own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online, and if you'd like to know the price, simply click on the links in the description below. We greatly appreciate it if you purchase your next watch from us at JazzTime.com. Today we'll be talking about the Zenith Primero, a Chronomaster Sport. This one's the newest edition from 2021. Reference number 03.3100.3600 /21.M3100. Well, for the sake of simplicity, we'll just call it the Chronomaster Sport, the new model of 2021. I'll be going over the case, the dial, the bezel, the crown functions, the chrono pushers here, as well as the movement and the bracelet. I'll be giving you my thoughts on all of these throughout this video. Alright, so now starting off with this case, they say it's a 41mm case. I actually measured a little bit less than that, somewhere between 40 and 40.5-ish and 40.6 millimeters. That's sort of this outer ring here with this bezel. That's the widest portion of this watch, so it does wear a little bit closer to that of a Rolex Daytona, and certainly there are plenty of similarities between this Zenith Chronomaster Sport with the Rolex Daytona. Just by simply looking at it, you have this ceramic bezel steel construction case with a very similar overall look. And you can even say that, you know, Zenith did actually make the movements for the earliest Daytona models for Rolex. So, you know, you could say that, you know, as long as every watch manufacturer borrows little elements from each other, who's to stop anybody from doing that to each other, you know, and just continuing today. So, you know, this Zenith Chronomaster Sport does have the same general construction, all steel, stainless steel, as you can see, a nice high polish along the sides there, although the overall construction when it comes to the shape is a lot more angled and it has a lot more bevels than what you would expect from a Rolex Daytona. And I'm just going to be comparing it to the Rolex Daytona since that's the more iconic watch from Switzerland and the one with which most people would be familiar as compared to this Chronomaster Sport. And, you know, taking a look at these lugs, they just sort of end abruptly. They don't really curve downward as much. They're just, they do a very slight taper down and then stop abruptly, giving it sort of that almost a modern look to it, not so much a classic look that you would expect from a Rolex Daytona. All high polish, as you can see, but a nice satin brush finish, sort of laterally, going side to side on the front of the lugs here. All right, and as you can see, the pushers as well as the winding crown, all stainless steel construction as well. Now sitting on the front of this case, again, this black ceramic bezel, and if you'll note, this center-mounted chronograph hand does not actually go around once every 60 seconds. Rather, it goes around once every 10 seconds, and that is thanks to the high beat rate of the movement inside, which has a 36,000 vibration per hour beat rate, among the highest of beat rates available in the mechanical automatic market. Zenith have been making their own movements and outsourcing, well, sort of having their movements outsourced to other brands. And so they certainly have that experience. And, you know, I wouldn't put it past them to, you know, have the utmost confidence behind something so different, so unique, and yet extremely reliable with 36,000 vibrations per hour. That's 10 hertz, or 5 hertz rather, but 10 movements per second. And that's what gives them this ability to have this 1/10 of a second rating, these hash mark separation on this ceramic bezel. Now, the ceramic bezel allows you to actually read those tenths of a second, that precision when you press and actuate that chronograph hand and the button, so that you can actually denote it and see it much more easily. With these more spaced out than, say, on the inner portion of the dial, or even on the dial itself, with these spaced out, it's much easier to read, and you have that higher precision. So, you know, basically, if there are any errors in timing, it's all in user, not in this mechanical movement. So taking a look at this going around, again, once every 10 seconds. So you're not going to get the same sort of functionality that you would get out of the tachymeter from the Rolex Daytona, but again, you do have that higher sense of precision because this has 10 movements per second as opposed to Rolex's 28,800 vibrations per hour or 4 hertz, giving you 8 movements per second, right? So you can just press the top button once to start it, once to stop it. No stuttering, no weird movements. It's just crisp, and it feels very good to press as well. Press the bottom button when it's stopped to reset all of these timers back to 0, as you can see. Now, looking at the functions of this watch, well, actually no. Let's look at this dial some more. This is a black dial, black lacquered dial, with applied index markers, all rhodium plated, and actually very distinct in its presentation, because while all these index markers, you would probably say, look about the same size, and you know, you wouldn't be wrong. You have smaller markers for 3, 6, and 9, which are taken up by the tricolor sub-registers here. The small seconds at the 9 o'clock, a 60-minute chronograph interval at the 6 o'clock, and a 60-second counter, an actual 60-second counter for your chronograph at the 3 o'clock. Again, tricolor, a light silver rhodium, and a nice mid-tone blue for those chronograph dials there, as well as the small seconds. The counterweight for this chronograph hand, red tipped, is that Zenith star that you can see, as is part of their overall branding, as you can see. Now, let's stop this and reset it. Now take a look at the crown functions here. Now, at the very base position, the default position, this allows you to wind the watch nice and easy. And let me also say that this watch also does have this exhibition case back, so you can see all of the workings, the internal functionality just going on in there already. Now if I flip this upside down, you can actually see the clutches actually working on the inside there. All right, as I start, stop, and reset, you can actually see all the mechanics actually functioning very nicely. It has a very nice crisp press of that actuation, and then stopping sets it all back to 0. Nice and beautiful. Very good sense of movement here, literally in the movement. Okay, now this crown at the default position lets you wind the watch nice and easy, but the reason why I flipped this around is that there's this tiny divot on the back of the case which allows you to actually move your fingernail underneath to then pull the crown out to the next position. This one allows you to quick set the date nice and easy at the 4:30 position, as you can see, and it's about a quarter turn to advance the date by 1. So if you ever need to go back a day for whatever reason, say you're traveling east over the international time zone, you can do so rather simply, like so. And if you find yourself on the 30th of a month, you can just move it once, and there you go. Once the hour hand sweeps past midnight, it will go to the 1st of the next month, no problem. Pull the crown out to the final position, and you get a little treat, that thing that I like to call hacking seconds. The stop seconds that allows you to then set the time nice and precisely based on where the seconds hand is. You can then press the crown back in once it's done. And this crown actually feels incredibly sturdy. There's no extra room for play when you move the crown in this outermost position. It's extremely deliberate when you move this crown, right? So there's no weird movement, or unintended movement rather, when you press the crown back in. It's nice, crisp, and easy, and it just sets in perfectly exactly where you set that minute hand. All right. Now I already went over the chronograph functions. So what makes all of this work? It is, well, Zenith's own movement, the El Primero, which has 311 movements. As you can see, I believe this is the 3020 El Primero movement, as it says on, or is that the 3600? I can't quite tell on my monitor, but yes, 3600 with 35 joules, 311 total parts, beating at a vibration per hour frequency rating of 36,000 or 5 hertz. That is 10 little movements per second, as I demonstrated earlier. It has a total power reserve of about 60 hours, so very impressive for something with so much functionality, and actually one of the first movements from Zenith to actually feature that hacking seconds. So very, very good on them to feature that. And also take into consideration that this chronograph hand does not actually simply move at the same pace as the small seconds. And I'm no watchmaker, but I would wager that it would be much easier to have this center mounted chronograph hand move at the same pace as that of the small seconds. But, you know, of course, we don't have that. We have this moving 6 times faster at many more intervals going all the way around. So consider a Zenith being, you know, actually quite superior in this sense of the precision and just the overall speed at which all of the internal workings work in order to present all of this working as you can see it. Now, taking a look at this framing of this watch here, we have the sort of, it's an almost oyster style bracelet, 3-piece links all the way across, high polish down the center links, satin brush finishing on the outer links, but you also have this extra bevel on here to give it sort of that very distinct glowing look, something that you would see more on like Audemars Piguet watches. But on this one, the Zenith, it's very distinct, very modern looking with the almost modular presentation in its, you know, in just how it looks. Right now, tapering down to the folding clasp, well, very, very Rolex-like, almost like that of the 90s, where you have these sizing holes for the pin for the sizing on the inside there. You have these almost like a oyster folding safety clasp. You lift it from underneath. You have the Zenith logo on that safety, and now here you can try to pull this open, and it depends on the tolerance of your specific clasp, your specific watch, but this one I found much easier to open by holding the sides, because this one is incredibly tight when closed shut. So this one is not going to fly off the wrist easily anytime soon. You have something that resembles like the older 90s versions of the Rolex folding clasp here. Certainly nothing wrong with that, because it worked for Rolex in the 90s, and hey, why can't it work for Zenith now? They have a very thick clasp here, something that won't bend quite as easily as the old Rolex ones will. Now this one doesn't have a spring bar per se like the modern Rolexes, but this one actually has 5 settings to which you can set this. So you can use, you know, a simple tool or a paper clip to just push in the spring bar here and then just simply move among these divots as you please. All right, now all of these links can be taken out and sized to your wrist as needed. There's no 5mm extension or anything like that that you would find on a Rolex, but that's fine. Okay, now while we're here, I can actually try it on and give you my thoughts as to how it wears on the wrist. All right, now keep in mind that my wrist is 7 inches or about 18 centimeters in circumference, so this, you know, does wear very much like a Daytona. It does have that sort of almost basically a 40mm look, even though it does wear it is literally a little bit larger than that, but almost imperceptibly so. I have a, well, decent framing, but then I'm not really sizing this to my wrist, am I? Okay, so now tightly on my wrist, I get all case, all dial, all bezel, well, and hardly any bracelet there, and that's, you know, just due to my wrist size. It's comparatively small for a watch of this size, but hey, who's judging? Well, me. I'm literally judging right now, but this is a little bit big for me, but I'm okay with wearing this because this is basically a very good alternative to a Rolex Daytona. Although it is a little bit thicker, I believe a little bit over 12 or around 12mm in thickness. It will definitely slide under a jacket sleeve, not so much a suit cuff, depending on your sizing. It's sort of that weird gray area. You're going to have to test and see for yourself. But looking at it, face on the wrist. Incredibly easy to read with the index markers there. And also, while I'm on that topic of the index markers, there is a little bit of luminescence here, and it's not what you'd expect, because if you look at how the luminescence is actually lined up, it's lined up as like an inverted square almost, or diamond shape, right? They're not actually circular in placement. Very interesting from Zenith there, and this certainly sets it apart from the Rolex Daytona. If the slightly overlapped sub-counters and, you know, the hands, the 10-second rotation for the chronograph hand weren't a dead giveaway, or even the date, something that a Rolex Daytona doesn't have, a date complication there. Well, is it really a complication when so many watches have dates? Well, kind of up for debate, but anyway. Plenty of breathability underneath these lugs, plenty of space for me at least. If you have a larger wrist, certainly this will rest very nicely with a little bit less breathability, but you're not going to miss it all that much because there's plenty of space among all these links to let the wrist breathe and vent, and it just wicks away sweat so much better than actually a Rolex Oyster bracelet because of all that extra space there. So certainly a very sporty watch, certainly lives up to its name with the Chronomaster Sport. Now, enough of what I think. What do you guys think about this watch? Let us know down in the comments below what you think about the Zenith Chronomaster Sport. This one, the 2021 edition, all black dial, black ceramic bezel, almost a Daytona, but actually using, well, the Daytona used Zenith's movement, the El Primero movement, but Zenith have continued making their own movement and just basically made it better and better. It certainly works and just looks. It's just so pleasant to look at this. The subtlety of these colors on this dial gives it a very nice sense of, you know, just this overall sense of unity, very Zenith in its presentation, and just sets itself apart from the Daytona, from which, you know, perhaps its origin came. But anyway, let us know what you think down in the comments below. Be sure to like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe so you can see more content like this as it comes up. Hit the bell notification so you can be notified when it happens. And as always, if you'd like to purchase this watch or any other watch, visit our store at jazztime.com. Links in the description below. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.